and welcome back to another video of living in Singapore, Hannah sitting down chatting on the couch. I need a proper name for that. I'm really enjoying making these like chatting kinds of videos because I feel like I care about the things that I'm chatting about, and also the videos are so much easier to edit than like travel videos. Travel vlogs take so long, but they seem to get the least amount of views, which is unrewarding. This is my video about things, wait, how many things are there? 10 things that I wish that I knew before I moved to Singapore. So I moved to Singapore about a year ago. I'm currently not really living here at the moment. I'm just here for like a month. But since coming back, there's a whole bunch of things that I didn't realize were a thing until went away and came back. There are a couple of things that I definitely noticed, and things that I think looking back, I wish I would have known them before I moved here. It would have made my life like just a little bit more easier, definitely. So the number one thing that I wish I knew was that Singapore can be done on a budget. You can definitely do Singapore on a budget. And I actually just recently put out a video about things that are surprisingly cheap in Singapore. And Singapore is absolutely 100% doable on a budget. I just didn't realize when I got here. When I first got here, you walk into like the first grocery store you see, which is cold storage, and you look at the prices and you think like, oh my God, I'm never gonna save money here. But like after living here for a while and you figure out where the cheap places are and everything like that, it can definitely be done on a budget. So, you know, little swaps, little changes here and there can make a big difference to your bill at the end of the day. Another thing is that hawker centers have got wonderful food, really wonderful food. When I first got here, there was a hawker center near my place and it was outdoors and it was a bit dirty, and like it just wasn't the kind of atmosphere I ever wanted to eat lunch or dinner in. So therefore I never went to them, and I kind of had this like preconceived idea that hawker centers are always dirty and I'm gonna get sick from the food and blah blah blah. That is absolutely not true at all. Now thinking back, I wish that I went to hawker centers more because they've got some really delicious food, and most of the meals are only about $5, and it's all really authentic food from all around Asia, and you can get some really delicious food. So definitely go to hawker centers more. On that note, on to my next point, is that I wish that I knew hawker centers had a hygiene rating. Again, I had no idea. I thought that all hawker centers were like one and the same, but every single shop, they have like this piece of laminated A4 paper, and it's got a color in the background. It'll be either A, B, C, D, or E. Maybe it goes to F. I haven't seen anyone with F, but I'm pretty sure I would never go there. So A is obviously the best, and E, or whichever the last letter is, being the worst. So if it's A, then like absolutely it's gonna be fine. B is like, it's still really good. You won't get sick from the food, but like maybe there's like a couple of things that are wrong or whatever. C is like, it's getting into risky, and D is like, probably will be rushing to the bathroom if I eat there. So the hygiene rating is like hugely helpful. And it's good for if you really don't know what kind of food you want to eat, or you don't know what the food is. If it's just like A or B rating, it's pretty safe to try it, and pretty safe to say it's going to be delicious too, because the food is really good in Singapore. The number 3 that I wish I knew before I moved to Singapore is that it rains all the time. I did not realize that it rains so much in Singapore. Like I think it rains about 200 days out of the year or something like that. So it's just all the time. And one thing as well is that when it rains, they've got like lots of pathways that are just like slick. They're just like the slickest concrete you could imagine. If there's like a tiny bit of water on it, if you're wearing thongs or like flip-flops if you're American, it's like ice. It's so awful, and it makes me really angry. I'm like walking along and I'm like, and it like, I've walked some places and been so frustrated the entire time. Like, yeah, so that's definitely something to know. So don't wear flip-flops if it's gonna rain, because it's dangerous and it makes me mad. Number 4 is that I've noticed, I'm probably wrong in saying this, there may not be Singaporeans as such, like locals, but I've noticed I see a lot of mainly construction workers, I think. Not always construction, but like labor workers in general. They just take naps everywhere. Just like on the side of the pathway, or like literally in the middle of nowhere, and they'll like lay down a piece of cardboard and then they just take a nap. Like, I think it's great. I wish I could just take a nap anywhere I wanted. I guess the only reason that I wish I knew that they did that is so that like I'd be less shocked and confused when I first got here. I think once I thought someone was dead because it was like middle of the day and they were like just like on the ground, like passed out. I thought something was wrong with him. And like I was gonna be like, oh my God, are you okay? But then I don't know, just realized he was taking a nap. So that's cool. Next thing is that I wish I knew that Singapore was so small. It's really small. It's a tiny country. The whole of Singapore is half the size of Brisbane. Brisbane, Australia, the city that no one really knows about and usually associates with the Gold Coast. It's half the size of Brisbane, the whole country. So when I was doing marathon training, like when I actually did the marathon, my plan was to run from my house, which is in Clementi, like all the way out west. And I was pretty much just gonna run to Changi Airport and then halfway back, and that would have been a marathon. Like literally running to the other side of the country. I was like running out of space to run in. And like it's okay, and there's actually quite a few things that you can see while you're here. But for someone who likes to go out and explore new places all the time and like go out to different areas and things like that, I was like kind of like surprisingly shocked to see that it's very, very small. But the travel's really cheap, so you can just like fly to Thailand instead. So that's good. Next thing on my list is that I wish I knew that I would feel really overdressed or really out of place and uncomfortable wearing loud, bright kind of outfits, like loud outfits, you know what I mean? So when I lived in Japan, I felt like I could wear anything I wanted in the world and I would still not be the most crazy dressed person there. I had like weird fashion. And it wasn't weird. It's weird by Singaporean standards, by Australian standards. When I'm in Australia as well, if I wear something that's super fashionable, I feel like totally out of place and just like really self-conscious of my outfit. And same in Singapore. But in Japan, I could wear a garbage bag with a belt and I would not be the weirdest person there, you know what I mean? But in Singapore, I definitely feel that if I'm dressing up for something, I feel very dressed up. Not all the time, it definitely depends where you're going. So if you go to like some of the more posher areas or Marina Bay Sands, stuff like that, you can get away with a lot more. But in most areas, I felt overdressed if I'm wearing more than shorts and a t-shirt. It's good to keep in mind because there are a couple of items of clothing and I ended up never wearing them because I just would have felt out of place. So that's definitely something to note. The next thing on the list that is related to clothing, I guess, because it's so hot here all the time, they have crazy air conditioning everywhere. So on the buses, they just blast that aircon and it's freezing cold all the time. And especially if you're working in an office and because you're sitting down, your body's not warming up in any way, it's like really cold. So a lot of people, like office workers and stuff, they have like a thick jacket that they leave at work just to wear that because it's so cold in their office. And I felt like whenever I catch a bus, I really want to wear like a cardigan or like a light jacket or something. So definitely bring one of them, especially one that's small so you can just like stuff it in your bag. I feel like I always need one of them on the buses because it gets really cold in the air conditioning. Next on the list is that Singaporeans do speak English, but you probably won't understand a lot of it at first. I remember my first ever came here, I was just visiting Singapore. And then I was like looking at the address and I was like, I need to go to Orchard Road, like telling the taxi driver. And he was like I really can't even like imitate this like Singlish, like really strong Singlish. I'm really bad at it, but it's like, I don't know, it's like they cut off the end of every word and then they like mash them all together and they add la on the end and like all these like it's really great. I actually love Singlish now, but it was so hard to understand at first. It doesn't take too long to get used to it. After a couple of days, I was definitely a bit more used to it. But yeah, that definitely would have helped when I first came here. Also, you're allowed to call older men uncle and older women auntie. That's very normal. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will correct me on something because it's the internet. But so that I think I was really surprised when someone called him uncle. I was like, are you guys related? Like the next thing that I wish I knew was that I know I said before that Singapore is not always really expensive, but when it's expensive, boy is it expensive. But that's mainly in the touristy areas. So if you go to Marina Bay Sands, everything's expensive. I remember, oh my God, I went to the cafe at the top of Marina Bay Sands with my friend. Because I just went up there so I could see the view from the top. Because you can go to the top, you can't go in the pool unless you stay at the hotel, but if you just want to see the view, go to the cafe at the top. So I was like, I'll just buy like the cheapest thing I can so that we can sit up here and you know, not just be a freeloader. And so my friend was like, okay, I'll buy like the cheapest thing that they've got on the menu. I'll just get like some green tea, that's fine. They didn't have any prices on the menu. She was just like, yeah, green tea, that sounds good. I was like, I'll just get like a Diet Coke. My Diet Coke for the can was like $4 or something, so it wasn't crazy, that was alright. And then her green tea came out and it was like in the little like plunging thing with the tea bag. You know, she had a cup of tea, the bill came out. Her cup of tea costed $16 for a cup of green tea. $16. I could not believe that. It was so shocking. Very expensive. I wasn't expecting that at all. So yes, some things can be very expensive. Mainly around Marina Bay Sands or like Sentosa, things are a lot more expensive. Or anything that's considered Western, it will be considered like a luxury item, I guess. So if it's Western, it's gonna be more expensive for sure. And the last thing on my list that I wish I knew before moving to Singapore was that I can buy pretty much everything that I need in in Singapore. So when I was living in Japan, I felt like it was hard to find all of the like cooking and baking ingredients and things like typically Western foods that I need. It was really, really hard to find that thing, so I had to order it a lot online from iHerb, which is a really great website. And I thought that I was gonna have to do the same thing in Singapore, or I stocked up on a couple of items that I didn't think they were gonna sell here. And then I came to Singapore and I was like, oh, actually I already got that. So yeah, you can find pretty much everything that you need. I mean, for me as an Australian, there might be like different things if you're like German or something like that. So that's really, really helpful to know. So you don't have to worry about trying to like pack your bag full of like essential items and things that you need, because you can probably find it here anyway. That concludes my list of things that I wish that I knew before moving to Singapore. I hope that this has helped you in some way if you're moving to Singapore. Let me know in the comments if you're moving to Singapore soon, or if you have recently moved to Singapore, if there's anything I missed, anything I didn't miss, if you agree, disagree with anything that I have to say. I'm sure someone's gonna disagree with something because internet. I've only got a couple days left here in Singapore, and then I'm homeward bound to Australia for Christmas, so I'm very excited about that. So if there's anything that you'd like to see in Australia, that would be cool, because whenever I'm in Australia, I feel like I don't know what to film because everything's so normal to me because it's my home. So let me know if there's something you want me to film in Australia, because I'd really appreciate any ideas. Any ideas? Yeah. Cool, thanks for watching. Bye.